are making our own story as we go.
Hi, this is Kathy Piech-Lukas with Your Dream Day and Your Dream Day podcast. And today I'm getting a behind the scenes tour of a new event venue here in Greater Cincinnati. And none other than Tiffany Combs from the Delhi Event Center is going to take us on that journey today. Hello, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Now, this venue is in a brand new building that was just recently built in Delhi Town Square on the west side, correct?
Yes, it was built in June of 2024 is when it was finished.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about some of the things that an engaged couple can get by booking their wedding here.
Yeah, so when you book here, you actually get full access the day of at 8 a.m. So you get to use our bridal suite, which is what we're sitting in right now.
Very cushy couches on that. And lots of mirrors, full-length mirrors.
Yes, we need the mirrors, we need the chairs, a great place to do your makeup, hang out. So yeah, they get access at 8 a.m. They can use the bridal suite. They can set up that morning, any decorations that they want to bring in. We do provide the tables, the chairs, the linens, the linen napkins, the dance floor, and a day off coordinator.
That's huge.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah. There's a lot that we provide. We also have additional add-ons too. So we have uplights that we can put around the room. We have table numbers. We have centerpieces that are an option, as well as the charger plates. So yeah, we have a few add-on options.
Very turnkey for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, we're sitting in the bridal suite right now. So for those of you who are just listening versus watching on YouTube, unfortunately you won't get to see that. But in front of me, there's 4 full-length mirrors and 4 bar stool type chairs that are cushy.
Yeah.
And there's also electrical outlets, so which is a big deal.
It is a big deal. They need somewhere to plug in the curling irons.
Yes, and they need good lighting, and the lighting in here is fantastic. So you can make sure that you'll get your hair and makeup done beautifully on the day of the wedding. And we had a wedding show here a few weeks ago, and that was the first opportunity I had to see this space, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, there's a bunch of natural lighting, which is my favorite part. It just kind of, makes the mood brighter, makes everyone happier. So,
well, the glass windows and and the ball. What would you call those?
The globe lights. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
They really add like a contemporary feel.
Yep. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Wonderful. And how does food work here?
So we have a preferred caterer list. So there are 6 to 7 caterers on it. So we have our clients choose from one of those.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's actually a good thing. I know sometimes couples get a little frustrated because they can't bring in their own food, but it's really for safety reasons.
Yes.
Both for the property and for the consumer who's going to be eating the food itself.
Correct. Yes.
Because you want to have a licensed and insured caterer who's going to be serving the food, cooking the food, keeping it at the proper temperature, and cleaning up properly. But it also saves on your kitchen.
Yeah.
Because these preferred caterers understand the ways of the facility and what they can and can't do and what equipment's being provided to them so that they can provide whatever it is that they need.
Absolutely.
Such as hot boxes and stenos and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
There's also some other reasons that people don't really always think about. So the caterer provides a staff, typically a full service staff. So, we have 1 or 2 people on site being the venue coordinator, but the caterer really, they are a big role in running the event. So definitely important that, one of our preferred caterers are used.
Absolutely. No, trust me. I've had situations as a wedding planner where they may have gotten a non-full service caterer and then they look to us and said, "Oh, so you're doing the trash, right?" And I'm like,
"You're cleaning,
no.
You're doing the trash, you're doing all of this." And I'm like,
"No,
I'm just one person."
Well, and what a lot of people don't realize is that you have to be Serve Safe certified in order to serve food. So even if you're doing your own food, you need somebody licensed and insured to serve that to a large crowd, or otherwise that liability falls on you.
Oh, there's a ton of things that go behind it that people don't think about. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the other thing is the bar. And the liquor license is held by the township.
Correct.
So the bar has to go through y'all as well.
Yes, it does. So we have our exclusive vendor, which is technically the township. So we have a bar manager that runs all of that.
Okay, wonderful. Yep. Well, and what's nice is it seems like this is really a one-stop place because not only do you provide the linens and the napkins and the bar and the catering options, you also have some other stuff in your vault of secrets that brides can use.
Yeah, a lot of additional add-ons. I also have a preferred vendor list for really any vendor you could think of. So, you can come here, you can choose from it, you can not choose from it. It's up to you, but it definitely gives you a place to start.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So you have your first wedding here this coming weekend.
Yes, in
And
2 days.
In 2 days. So what's going through your head right now?
Oh my gosh,
venue owner?
everything. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking about anything that could like potentially happen or go wrong, which, you know, with events, they never go perfect, but they'll go as perfect as we can make them go.
Yep.
And the guests don't need to see that or know that.
They're on a need-to-know basis. You don't need to know.
Yeah, it's nothing that's going to affect them, you know? It's just small things here and there, but I'm just thinking of every possibility in my head. But honestly, I feel really, really prepared. Yeah, I've been doing weddings now for about 7 years, so I've seen quite a bit.
Nothing shocks me anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you just got to keep it cool, got to keep going. The main focus is that the bride and groom have fun, and they are super laid back, so I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about what are you expecting this weekend?
So I'm definitely expecting a lot of people because it's 240, which is our max capacity. I'm expecting them to drink a lot of beer because that's what they've told me several times.
Okay.
They were like, we don't care about anything else, just don't run out of beer. I was like, we can do that.
I had that happen at a wedding, not once, but twice.
They ran out?
In one evening.
Oh,
yes.
no.
And of course, it was 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah, maybe they were drinking extra that weekend.
You know, it's funny because I think back to that wedding. They were the sweetest couple, but they did tell the venue more than once, we have a Bud Light drinking crowd. And I don't know if it's just that they didn't prepare accordingly or they just bought the way they normally bought.
Yeah.
But this particular couple had a huge wedding party. They had like 15 people on each side. It was massive.
Oh, wow.
And their wedding favor to each one of them was a big beer stein. So I think what was happening is they were taking the beer and dumping it into their beer steins, which was the equivalent of 2 beers, not one. So they were going through it a lot faster. But the venue had to go out and get more beer.
Yeah, that's
and it was like I said, it was it was 4th of July weekend, and so a lot of places weren't open late because of that.
No.
So it was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. Yeah, that is not going to happen.
Well, luckily,
I'm not going to even speak it into existence. It's not happening.
Because this couple told you that they're a beer
several
drinking crowd.
times. Yes, we have a huge backstock too. So if we run out, then people have alcohol poisoning. I don't know. Like that can't happen.
Well, the police are right down the road. So at least we're good with that one. Right?
Oh no, the bartenders know when someone's drunk. They stop serving them when it's too far. So yeah, there's no way. There's just no way that could happen.
Well, and that's where tip certified bartenders come into play. Because you want to make sure that your bartender is tip certified because they are going to cut somebody off when they had too much to drink.
Yeah.
And they know what to look for.
Yeah, we make sure that they are very aware of that because that's definitely a liability. And they report it every time someone is too drunk. So it doesn't happen often. Honestly, for all of the events we've had here, there's been maybe one person that we've been like, okay, we got to cut this person off. But it happens every now and then.
Well, and like as a planner, I usually, I tell couples we're the first to arrive, we're the last to leave. And the last to leave is because I want to make sure that whoever is there is getting a responsible ride home, whether that be an Uber, whether that be a friend. One time I had a wedding where one of the persons was handicapped. So he was in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And he was waiting with somebody else and they had called an Uber and said, we need a handicap accessible ride. Well, the Uber ride got there and said, oh, sorry, I can't fit your wheelchair in my car.
Oh, no.
And so everybody else had left already. And I was still there, picking up and cleaning up. And they were still there.
Oh,
and so we folded his wheelchair into the back of my SUV. And I said, where are we going?
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing.
But again, it goes back to, when you're the host of an event, you want to make sure that, everybody has a safe way home.
Right.
They're your friends, they're your family. You want to make sure they're taken care of.
That would be horrible if something happened and you thought, oh, I talked to them or I saw them leave drunk. Like, you don't want that.
Oh, no. There was another time I had a wedding. I'll never forget this one. I was actually filling in for a colleague of mine because she got COVID right before the wedding.
Oh.
So she calls me up 2 days in advance and she's like, can you fill in for me? And then once I told her what happened at the wedding, she could not have been happier to have been diagnosed with COVID in her life.
Oh my gosh, I bet.
No, somebody was in the parking lot and was extremely intoxicated.
Yeah.
And did something very, very, very foolish that we should have called the cops on. And we were able to talk them down. And the person was so intoxicated, it was very difficult to talk him down. And then we found his wife, who was at the main building. She comes down. Of course, she smacks him upside the head and said, "What were you thinking?"
As she should.
And then he couldn't find his glasses. So we're like, how on earth are you supposed to drive home without your glasses?
Oh, my God.
And then finally, he found his glasses. And then his wife was the one who actually drove them home because he was in no shape to drive. But this guy was, he was picking a fight in the parking lot, and he was prepared to drive home with a child in the back seat.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
at that point, at that point, sometimes your liability is on the line. And so I had called the venue coordinator by that point and said, "You need to get down here because this is escalating into a potentially bad situation." And so luckily we were able to nip it.
Oh, that sounds horrible. Yeah. I've had a few crazy stories.
What's probably the craziest wedding story you've ever had?
The one that I can remember the best is that the maid of honor, actually, she was so drunk we had to cut her off. And this wedding was at one of the most expensive venues in Cincinnati. So I think that they kind of thought they could just do whatever they wanted, and she was making comments that made it seem that way. But she was just in my face screaming at me to the point that the bride actually came over and told her to calm down and apologize to me about it. And she just kept coming back. And I was like, oh my goodness.
It's amazing what alcohol does to people.
Yeah. She was like, "My friend paid for this wedding. I can do what I want." I was like, "You can't drink as much as you want. That's not going to happen."
I had a similar story to that one time. It was the maid of honor again. And she was actually being quite vocal with all the vendors, not just me. And lucky for me, I have a clause in my contract, which I call it the "please be nice to us" clause. And she was getting very, very close to the bullying part of the clause. And so I had pulled the groom aside and told him what was going on. And he got on the party bus and he said, "You leave our planner alone."
Oh my goodness.
So then after that, she started picking on the DJ.
Oh no.
But at the reception, she had given the bartender her own stash of like bourbon or whiskey or something. It was something that was heavy. I remember that. It wasn't vodka, but I'm pretty sure it was whiskey. But she's like, "This is my stash." And she gave it to the bartender. And so she was drinking from her stash. She got toasted out of her mind to the point where, the bartender and I are talking like, we need to cut her off, but she's being very nasty about it. And I was like, "Well, why don't we water down the liquor?" She goes, I in good conscience cannot water this bottle down because it's a $400 bottle of whiskey or whatever it was. And so lucky for us, she decided to pass out in the house because this was under a tent and there was a couch in the house or whatever. So she's passed out for a couple hours, and then she finally comes to about maybe 15 minutes before the reception's scheduled to finish. She whips out her credit card and says, "I want to extend the reception. Here's my credit card." And of course I'm like, "Okay, let me check with the bride and groom and make sure they're okay with this." And the groom goes, "Absolutely not." Because he's like, "I am not paying to extend the shuttle bus. I am not paying to extend this place or the bartenders or anything."
Well, my first question is, how was she drinking out of a stash that she brought? Was this on a private property?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had mobile bartenders that were serving liquor that the couple had purchased.
Gotcha.
And so that was the reason why she was able to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I will never forget the fact that bartender was like, "I in good conscience cannot water this down."
I mean, that's a good point, honestly.
That's an educated bartender.
Yes.
Because I would not have known.
Yeah. But you would be surprised when you have people that drunk, they know when they're drinking water. I've tried to do it to my friends a few times.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, "This isn't vodka." I'm like, dang it.
I feel like it smells like
vodka
vodka.
water. Yeah, like trying to convince them. No, they know.
It's Gilby's. Come on.
Right. I need to know more about this "be nice" clause. Is that what it's called?
Well, I call it the quote unquote "be nice to us" clause. But you'd be amazed that like sometimes people can get, and most of the time it involves alcohol or some type of intoxicant. But if they start yelling at us, like asking unreasonable demands of us, if they're like swearing at us, pushing us, anything that's a verbal attack, they get a warning. We tell the couple, FYI, your guest, whoever it might be, is doing this, 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 and this to us. It's inhibiting our ability to perform our job with confidence because we're walking on eggshells around this person. So this is your warning. Please say something to them. If it happens again, we're leaving. So they do get they have a little window of opportunity to say, you are not going to treat the person I hired to help execute my perfect day.
My mind is just like spinning right now. I'm like, I need to do something like this.
Yeah.
I love that because it does affect you in your work. And it's,
absolutely.
Sometimes you're like, okay, let me just ignore it. But like when people are digging at you, it gets to you. We're human.
Oh, absolutely.
And you don't want to hinder their event at all because of it.
Oh, a perfect example. One time when I had to use it, personally, I think the mother had something more medically going on because I had never seen somebody with such extreme highs and lows before. Like one minute she would be just as sweet as could be. The next minute she was just nasty, awful, mean. And one of the things for this particular wedding, we had asked for place cards.
Yeah.
We asked for them by the rehearsal. They didn't get them to us by the rehearsal. They got them to us the morning of the wedding. They were not alphabetized. They did not have their meal selections on the place cards. So we had to do that. And we did that. So we have all these little stickers on there indicating whether they were eating beef, chicken, or fish. They were alphabetized because in order to put them down on a table, they got to be alphabetized. And my assistant put the stickers on one particular side of the place card. Well, Mom wanted it on the other side of the place
card. Like left or right?
Yeah.
Not like the back of it.
No. She had it on the front. Mom wanted it on the back. She comes up to
that wouldn't even work.
Exactly. So she comes up to my assistant. She points her finger at her and says, "You put the stickers on the wrong side. You're poisoning the guests. I'm watching you."
Poisoning? How does that translate to that?
I don't know. But my poor assistant was in tears because
Girl, I've been there before.
She literally had her finger right in her face.
Yeah, people can get nasty.
And I'm like, first of all, it says in our contract, you're supposed to get this to us 3 days before the wedding. So the fact that we were accepting it at the rehearsal was already being kind to you.
You could have just not even done anything.
But the fact that we did all of this outside of the timeline that we agreed to, so we probably had an extra 2 hours of work that we were never paid for.
The day of.
Because she got it to us so late. And then to just, be so nasty. So we had already worked out before the wedding because we knew this mom was a little bit different. We had already worked out if there were any problems and Mom, had some type of a inappropriate episode, I guess is the best way to put it, that we were to tell her, not the bride.
Right.
And so we pulled her aside and said, "Hey, your mom just did this. She has my assistant in tears and she can beat me up all she wants, but she does not make my staff cry."
Yeah.
And either we're getting an apology or we're leaving.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mom came in and apologized.
Good.
I mean, it was just, it just goes back to, you can't treat people that way.
Some people just don't have that. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do they think this way? How do they act this way? Like, it makes no sense to me, but
it's just be nice to people. That's why if I can give one message out on this podcast, just be nice to us.
Yes, you are preaching because I've been complaining about this the past few days.
Well, wedding people, I think, are different from everybody else in the event world that does corporate events or fundraisers. We do it because we have a passion for it. And we legitimately want people to be happy. And we go along that emotional journey with you.
Yeah.
And we genuinely want you to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
So when you yell at us,
yes,
it actually hurts us probably
feelings.
More than it would hurt anybody else in the family. It hurts us the most.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it. The mother of the bride hugged me the other day and I was like,
that's the best thank you gift ever, when they hug you at the end of the night.
How much that means. It wasn't even the end of the night either. It's before the event.
Oh.
I'm like, I just love you. I just want it to go so good for you guys.
Oh.
I know, it means so much. But anything that they say affects you.
Well, wonderful. I know we've gotten off on a fun tangent here.
Sorry. I could definitely talk about this all day long.
Well, we know that everything is going to go smooth as butter here.
Absolutely. Yep, we got it all
at the
planned
Delhi
out.
Event Center.
Yes.
So how can people find you?
So you can find us on our website.
Okay.
It's thedelhieventcenter.com. We're also listed on the Knot and on Yelp.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes. Yep.
Well, great. So if they want to get a tour, what number should they call?
513-379-3010.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us on Your Dream Day podcast. We release a new episode every week, so you can learn the best, greatest, and newest that Greater Cincinnati and the Tri-State has to offer as regards to weddings. This is Kathy Piech-Lukas. Happy planning.